Welcome to TYT Sports, everybody. Ben Mankiewicz here, still talking about Tony Dungy a couple of days after Dungy's really incomprehensibly stupid comments from a man seen as sort of a moral voice in the NFL. The disappointment I felt after reading what Tony Dungy said about Michael Sam is hard to describe. We're going to tell you what Dungy said. I'm going to read you a quote from really, I thought, one of the best sports columns I've read in quite some time from Dan Wetzel. And we'll also hear now from Antonio Pierce, former Redskin and Giant linebacker, former Washington and Giant linebacker, who has chimed in as well, with something a little bit silly as well. So first, here's what Dungy said, in case you missed it. It was earlier this week. Dungy said about Michael Sam, "I wouldn't have taken him, not because I don't believe Michael Sam should have a chance to play, but because I wouldn't want to deal with all of it. It's not going to be totally smooth. Things will happen." So leave that quote up for a minute. Not because I don't believe Michael Sam should have a chance to play, but I wouldn't want to deal with all of it. It's not going to be totally smooth. Things will happen. So what he means is he should have a chance to play, but nobody should give him that chance to play because it won't go smoothly and things will happen. Well, that's the same as not giving him a chance to play. And that is exactly the same as not giving Jackie Robinson a chance to play, because things will happen, things won't go smoothly. It is unconscionably shallow of Tony Dungy. It is a stain on him that will last for me, and I think for many others, for probably the rest of his career, unless he completely reverses it. Dan Wetzel, as I mentioned, Yahoo Sports columnist, just wrote a brilliant column about it. I'm going to read the second paragraph from the column by Dan Wetzel. He says this: "At some point, they said someone such as Tony Dungy deserved to go to school with white people, play football with white people, even coach football like white people once exclusively did, even at the highest levels of the NFL. They rejected the ancient concept that blacks weren't either deserving or capable of such opportunities. Even more important," says Wetzel, "they ignored the idiotic idea that until every last racist was completely and wholly comfortable with a black man playing, learning, or working alongside them, let alone be the boss, then such opportunity should continue to be withheld." Because that's what Tony Dungy is saying, that because things will happen and it'll essentially be a distraction, and it won't go totally smooth, to use Dungy's words, we shouldn't do it, as if we need to completely destroy every last vestige of it before we're willing to take a stand about it. That is a shocking lack of progress from somebody who I thought knew better, but he doesn't know better. I don't know what caused Tony Dungy to say that. I can't see into his heart. We know that he is a deeply conservative religious man, and we know that many people who are deeply conservative and religious don't like gay people, aren't comfortable with gay people, and think they're going straight to hell. Draw your own conclusions about what motivated Dungy to say that. Antonio Pierce, former linebacker in Washington and with the New York Giants, retired in 2009, won a Super Bowl with the Giants, had this to say, which sort of flies all over the place. It's a long quote. Pierce said, "I thought Tony Dungy did a great job because he was honest." That's a really ridiculous thing to say, so if you say something hideous but you're honest about it, it's okay. Pierce continues, "I think most people in this situation have been giving a politically correct answer, and a lot of guys feel totally different than what they're saying on camera in front of reporters. So Tony Dungy was honest, and I agree." Stop. This applies really to everyone. You can't just say that everything that is considered politically correct is the same thing. Nobody who believes in the First Amendment and freedom of speech, of which all good progressives and liberals do, likes the idea of political correctness, because you put political in front of it and that makes it seem like it's not authentic correctness. The operative part of political correctness is the correctness. You should come correct. And it is not politically correct to say Michael Sam should be given a chance to play in the NFL, no matter the distractions, no matter whether things don't go smoothly or not. Michael Sam should be given a chance to play in the NFL because it is right. It is 100% right. And we've arrived at a time in America where that kind of thing needs to happen. Suggesting somehow that this falls under some giant penumbra of political correctness is simply asinine and it's ignorant. And we know that Tony Dungy and Antonio Pierce are not ignorant, but what they are saying and what millions of others are saying is incredibly foolish. Now let's go back to Pierce. Here's more of what Antonio Pierce had to say. So he said that he agrees with Dungy. I would have to say if Michael Sam was a teammate, should be were a teammate, and I was still playing and we were here in New York City and I was playing for the Giants, it would be a distraction and I would not want to have to deal with that every day with the amount of media coverage that it's getting. It's not about that player, about what that player stands for. It's about the team. And I think it's no different than when a guy comes in, he has a different race, different religion, or 3 or 4 wives or 8 baby mamas. It really doesn't matter. That's his business. As long as we play on the football field together and do something about the team and not have to talk about that individual and what he believes in every day, I can live with that. But for this fact, you would have to talk about it every single day after practice, and I think it's a distraction. So fucking what? Eventually, by the way, it'll stop being a distraction. They'll cover it for a while, but they're not going to cover it every single day, especially if you keep giving an answer, good teammate, just want to win games, don't care. That's what you say. Say it every day. They'll stop doing it. And does Antonio Pierce realize, and I think he has to because he's a really smart athlete, that if you do the opposite, if you don't give him the job because of the distraction, then you've not given him a job because of his sexual orientation. You've not given him a job because he's gay. You've not given him a job because he's black. You've not given him a job because he's Latino. You've not given him a job because he's Asian American, because he's Native American, because he's something that you don't like, because he's Muslim and he prays 5 times a day to Mecca, and that's uncomfortable and the reporters are going to ask you about it. Teams do an exquisitely good job of protecting players from the media. There's limited times they can get there. You don't want to talk to the media, by the way. You don't have to talk to the media. You should talk to the media, but you don't have to. It is a distraction. Everything's a distraction in the NFL except when you're practicing and playing. That's true in almost every sport. When you have to go talk to the media, it's arguably a distraction. But if there's 20 minutes, 30 minutes set aside a day where you have to deal with it, just deal with it because it's the right thing to do. Whatever I've said here was said better by Dan Wetzel on Yahoo Sports. You should read his column. Thanks.